Guys. Let's continue with the topic of a TikTok dispute. Last time we talked about many people facing the deadline of being shut down. They call themselves TikTok refugees, and they moved to something called Rednote. Um, Estimated there's no exact number of people who call themselves TikTok refugees, but some numbers says that in just a couple of days, we have more than 700,000 people migrated from TikTok to Rednote. Okay, and then I guess the good news is that we now learn that Trump had a proposal to have like basically a joint venture. So will be TikTok will be owned by some American company, but also with the Chinese company. Okay, I think that's a good idea, but mostly I would think that when it comes to domestic issues, when the whether it's TikTok is owned by Chinese or by any other countries, the host country has a lot of room to decide. They can pretty much decide whatever they want, unless there's a international law says, but international law we don't have that many. So we have a lot of rooms. If the country are not comfortable feeling that a popular app being owned by a Chinese company, they can do whatever they want. Okay, and then they have more power because after all, this is within their country. Okay, so I think the idea, I think it's being having a joint venture. Even if they, American companies take the majority of a share, that's still understandable. The big issue is that you know what the politicians do, American politicians do to understand, to help people to kind of um, stay away from being paranoid, too much, too sensitive, and then that's the big issue. So let me continue with this a little bit. The introduction to the red note. In my view, it's because I'm thinking based on the Chinese name. I would call that a little red book. Okay, but a red note should be fine because American. That's the popular name that people understand. There's a few things that we need to know. First of all, it's a good thing. I really encourage the Chinese and Americans, and they have a civil society diplomatic relationship. After, to be honest, after China and the U.S. established diplomatic ties, the real people communication is really never been strong. First of all, China, the American says that if you dig a hole through the earth, the other end will be China. So geographically, it's a long distance. But most importantly, the cultural difference is very big. I think some Chinese would never understand some Americans would never have the interest and the capability to understand Chinese. That's understandable. Okay, but here we're just saying it's a good thing that now we have so many Americans. They are shifted into from one Chinese app to another Chinese app. The difference is that the TikTok is basically a totally new server. The Chinese really, try their best in order to enter American. They basically, they have a totally different platform, just open to Americans. Okay, so if a native Chinese at the mainland of China, they cannot have access to TikTok, the American version. Okay, so this is totally new. But the red note, on the other hand, it's a there's no separate server. It's just everything is based on the mainland. Okay, and then there's no like American version of Rednote. Okay, so this is a real. This is make it more real, make it more reliable, making people realize that what I see is what a Chinese will see in American or in China. I think that's more real. Okay, so I'm totally encourage people to check out with the Red Note. Not even a million people doing that. It's not enough because we talk about this. You know, several hundred million TikTok users. It's only a few brave enough to walk into red note. Okay, majority of the people they're happy with the TikTok, and then they're just begging that the Congress will not shut down or the government will not shut down. So this is the first thing that I want to say. The second thing is that Americans need to understand that the red note users it's not the representative of the entire profile of the Chinese. It has been estimated that 300 million Chinese are using Red Note. Okay, and then half of them lived in the first and second tier cities. When I say first tier and second tier, basically means that the biggest city in China. And then more than 50% of the users are women. Okay, so just to be aware of that, what you see in the red note is not a complete picture of is a real picture. Yes, it is real picture, but it's not a complete picture. So that's a need to bear in mind. Okay, um, I know there's a popular practice that right now that people are doing online comparison of cost of living. They found out that the Chinese are paying much less for school, much less for CT, much less for CRI. No, I'm sorry, what is the medical? Basically, the school, the hospital, everything, the cost of living, the price of a supermarket, everything is lower. Um, but that's why we need a PPP, right? Um, they basically level the playing field. So instead of relying on the exchange rate, we're just using the real purchasing power. And there's no doubt that the real purchasing power for Chinese is much higher, it's much bigger than American. So that's what we have to face the reality. Um, and then after talking about the red note, again, I want people to try to use that and take a look. And then we have a civil society diplomacy. That will be good. That will be helping the American people to understand China. The Chinese people are to better understand Americans. So there's a less lie will be flying around. And then, sometimes, sometimes I feel sorry that we have some politicians, American politicians, they don't have an interest in actually understanding China and understanding the biggest enemy, if you will, right? If you call that biggest enemy, the Chinese believe that it's best for you to understand your enemy. But so far, I haven't seen many American politicians doing that. I have no particular nothing against the American embassy in China. Um, throughout his terms, now he's no longer the embassy, but throughout his term, I haven't noticed that he's interviewed with or being interviewed by Chinese media. I haven't noticed that he actually walked out of the embassy to visit some part of China, some part of China. For example, go to Xinjiang. If you say Xinjiang is a terrible place for human rights, abusing human rights, go there and find out yourself. You know, you may want to say that well, Chinese government won't allow me, but you, as a diplomat, you can walk your way. You can talk to the Chinese government and ask for because you're entitled. You're the Chinese ambassador. You are the cultural ambassador, so you have the right, to go to different places. You may say the Chinese may set up different, but still, you see something, some signs that for doing that, and then that helps you. Instead, he's busy with. I have seen several interviews here, with the American media. You know, that's just not the way to do that. At least not the completely right way of doing that. Again, I'm not against it. This guy said some good things, smart things about the China and the U.S. relationship. But I'm just feeling that I wish more people, especially American politicians, would have the interest and have the courage to go to set your feet in China and go to the places, because you, unlike the other American citizens, you have the power, you have the resources to do that. Okay, that's why I think I like Trump that says that within 100 days, within the first 100 days, he'll visit China. That's a very nice thing. That's a good thing to do. We have to do that. We wish more people do that. So let's stop here.